Every major city around the world has had its golden age. Paris in the 1920s, New York in the somethings, Athens in the BC 300s and somethings. But for us here in Pointe Claire, the real golden age was that era between the 1880s and the 1930s, when there was five-star hotels and giant country clubs and beachfront on Vawa Bay. It was like the Hamptons of Montreal. Vowaville, the Hamptons of Montreal. Now with every golden age that has to come to an end, ours is a little different. You can go to Paris and still see the Eiffel Tower. You can go to New York and still see the Empire State Building. You can go to Athens and still see the Parthenon. What are you gonna see in Vawa? The bowling alley? No offense to the bowling alley. It's just not a part of the golden age. Where is the evidence of the chateau or the country club or the beach or any of these attractions that brought people to Vawa in the first place? If there'd be any remains of the country club, for example, they would be in the water, right? So let's go fishing.
Are these stairs legit or what? Seems safe.
This is Michelle. She's a good friend of mine and she's recently taken up a new hobby called magnet fishing. Totally legal. Where you toss a magnet into the waters, reel it in, and hope to pull something out.
This is the shoreline.
Oh yeah, so close.
In the collection of articles that I have about Vawa in those days, I started to notice articles reflecting on that time, indicating that there were things in the golden age that weren't so golden. For example, the glorious five-star hotel at the Chateau St. Louis apparently was doing some illegal gambling. And there was a story of two teenagers who set off on canoes with $600 worth of goods and guns from the country club. Not so golden, is it?
Did people live here permanently, or was it still like a cottage country?
So this is when the shift away from the golden age started happening. The Vawa tourists who had bought summer homes above the tracks began to winterize their homes, thus becoming Vawa residents. So a town which once thrived on summer tourism had now slightly shifted towards being an actual small little town. Vawa. From Vowaville to Vawa. And I found some articles on how the residents, the permanent residents, were starting to get a little annoyed with the summer tourists coming in. Weekend visitors, cheap and noisy cars, cheaper and noisier gramophone records, their midnight jazz, and their Sabbath breaking. The first snow flurry will be hailed by some as being the great farewell to the summer residents. What a change.
Is it feeling heavy?
Actually, no.
Now, the owner of the Chateau St. Louis passed away in 1930, right around the same time as the stock market crash. This, combined with the decline of tourism and the lack of a successor, the hotel just couldn't bounce back and in 5 years closed indefinitely. And to top it all off, the planning of the new highway, the 20, what we know today as the 20 or the 2 or the 2 and 17 or the 2 and 20 or the Montreal to St. Anne's Boulevard Highway. It would create a huge divide between the residents and what was Vawa's greatest attraction. Its shoreline. Its summer shoreline.
Not even a nail.
Not even a nail.
And when the war started, Vawa lost a huge demographic of young men who were sent overseas. These were the young men who would have gone to the country club.
It's actually really a relaxing pastime.
Yeah, I'm relaxed.
Say that in a more animated way.
I'm relaxed. I can't say it more animated, I'm relaxed.
So there's no metal left over. We found nothing. But I'm still confident that there's something else down there. If you look on Google Maps, you can clearly see that there are shadows in the exact position where the country club was. I needed to find someone who can dive in there to see if there's anything left of the great Vawa Country Club.
Loud and clear.
This is Josh. He's a legit professional scuba diver. Still legal, by the way. Everything we're doing is legal.
What was your first impression? Do you remember?
It was kind of interesting. As soon as I heard about that, it just immediately caught my eye. I was like, well, why not? I got nothing to lose.
So by 1939, most of the highway was built, which is why in 1940, they tore down the Chateau St. Louis, leaving the country club as the sole survivor of the golden age until there was a fire.
Going from the shore all the way to the end, you did feel that there was a cement block the whole way down?
But they always say there's no straight lines in nature. It was a perfect wall. You can feel the cement blocks.
On the evening of November 5th, at 11:30 p.m., a fire struck the country club. Witnesses said that it started on the far end of the club, and within minutes, the fire had blazed through the entire club, crumbling right down into the cold waters of Lac St. Louis.
By chance, just feeling around through the mud, that's when I found a glass and a couple bottles. It was what felt like, I still call them shingles. It felt like the roofing, whatever material would have been, just sheets and sheets and sheets of these shingles.
It was a windy night and the flames and embers started to fly over to the lakeshore, starting mini fires.
It's too perfectly placed, you know, and it's the right material, it's the right, just the size of it in comparison to the photos, it just makes sense.
The fact that this thing was down there for 78 years is insane.
Now, the remains of the country club stayed in those waters for quite a long while, and if you're old enough to remember the time of the country club, you would have seen beams coming up from the water when the water was low. Even though today there's no real remnants of the Golden Age, the effect the Golden Age had on Vawa and the West Island very much exists today. If there'd been no Golden Age, there would have been no population growth above the tracks, which means there would have been no purpose to build churches or schools, which means that the growth wouldn't have extended westward and eastward to build shopping centers and malls and indoor pools and more schools and libraries and city halls, essentially what the West Island is today. So all of this is because the Golden Age brought people into the West Island to see the beauty and potential that it would hold for the future. Vawa is growing. Let us hope that it is growing good. Plenty of open spaces for the next generation, well planned, and all with an eye to the future. When we are gone, those that follow will read our record. Vawa will still be here, we shall have passed. Maybe it be so. That was an article from 1925.